The people of Ebeli village buried Chief Stanley on a night when the sky was thick with stars. Drums boomed through the evening, carrying the news of his passing across the hills. Men carried flaming torches. Women wailed with voices that cracked, their faces streaked with ash. Chief Stanley had been a chief both feared and loved. His cane, a staff carved from the wood of a black iroko tree. Its base capped with shining iron was more than a symbol of authority. It was the measure of justice. When he struck it on the ground, judgments were sealed. When he tapped it at his doorway, the poor knew he was listening. Now the chief was gone, and his son Obi was heir. Inside the great hut, after the mourners departed, Obi sat in the midst of wealth. Pots of oil gleamed in lamplights. Bracelets of copper and bronze clinked together in baskets, and ivory figurines lay stacked in careful rows. Obi ran his hands through a jar of cowries, letting them pour between his fingers like a river of bones. His lips stretched into a smile. "They say my father's spirit will watch me," he muttered, "but the dead cannot touch the living. This is mine now, all mine." On the mat nearby, his father's cane lay silent. At dawn, the villagers came, men with hollow eyes, women holding children with ribs that showed like cages. The rains had failed, and the fields gave little grain. At the doorway, an elder named Buru, bent with age, spoke first. "Obi, son of Stanley, our children grow weak. Your father shed from his storehouse when the earth withheld. Will you open the barns for us?" Others joined. "My baby cries with no milk. My field is dust. Without grain, we will die." Obi stood in his father's robes, bracelets jangling on his arms. His face was smooth, his smile sharp. "My father was free to give because it was his wealth," he declared. "But he is gone. This is mine. And I say, if you wish to eat, work harder, hunt, dig roots. Do not beg at my door like dogs." The people fell silent. Some wept quietly, others muttered curses. Old man bowed his head and said only, "The cane judges the selfish." Obi laughed, waving them away. That night, when the village fires dimmed and musicians rested, Obi sat alone counting cowries. Then it began. Tap, tap, tap. At first it seemed like rain dripping from the eaves, but the sound had rhythm. Slow, heavy, certain. Obi froze. He knew that sound. His father's cane striking the earth. He called out, "Who is there? Show yourself." Silence. But when he turned back inside, the cane he had left in the center of the hut was no longer there. It rested beside his mat, upright, leaning slightly forward, as though it had walked. At dawn, the poor came again. "Obi, our children starve. If you open even one storehouse, we may last until the rains return." Obi sneered. "Did my father's wealth fall from the sky? He earned it with wisdom, with war. Why should I throw it to you like scraps?" An angry murmur rippled through the crowd. A young woman, Nkechi, who had lost her husband to the last famine, spat at his feet. "You wear your father's robes, but you are not his son. You are a thief of breath." Obi raised his hand to strike her, but the people pulled her away. As they went, Obi muttered again, "The cane judges the selfish." That night, the tapping grew louder. Obi lay half asleep when he heard it. Tap, tap, tap. This time, the sound did not come from outside. It was inside the hut. By the doorway, Obi's heart pounded. He lit a torch and froze. The cane stood upright, balancing on its iron tip. Slowly it leaned forward. Tap. Then it lifted itself again. Tap. Walking, step by step, across the hut toward his mat. Obi threw the torch at it. The flame scattered, but the cane did not burn. It struck the floor once, and the torch went out, smoke curling upward. Obi fled into the night, but the sound followed him into his dreams. He dreamed of the village square, silent and empty. The moon above was red as blood. From the shadows, his father appeared, skin grey, burial cloth still wrapped about his frame. His eyes glowed faint as embers. In his hand was the cane. Tap, Obi, my son. The dead chief's voice rasped. The people weep. Why do you feast while children starve? They are not my concern, Obi said, trembling. Your wealth is mine. The dead chief smiled, teeth like bone. Tap, my wealth was never mine alone. It was the people's hope, and you, my son, have stolen their breath. Obi shouted, you are dead. You cannot touch me. The cane struck the earth. The ground split, shadows rising like smoke. The sound of tapping became thunder, echoing inside Obi's skull. He woke screaming, and there, beside his mat, lay the cane, its iron tip wet, red as though from blood. Weeks passed. The rains did not come. Children's bellies swelled with hunger. Mothers buried infants at the edge of the fields. But from Obi's hut rose the smell of roasted meat, the sound of laughter and drums. He hired dancers, poured palm wine until the ground was wet. The people stopped begging. Their eyes turned dark. They began to whisper that Obi's shadow moved even when he stood still. That in the night, the sound of tapping followed him like footsteps. One evening, as he feasted, Obi shouted drunkenly, do you hear me, father? Do you see your son? Your cane cannot command me. I am chief now. His guests laughed nervously. But when the drums fell silent, the cane tapped once from the corner of the hut. The musicians fled in terror. On the night of the new moon, Obi lay drunk upon his mat. The cane leaned by the wall. He sneered at it. Old wood, you frighten no one. Then it moved. The cane struck the ground. Tap. The torches blew out. One by one. Tap. The hut shook as though from thunder. Tap. Darkness swallowed him. Neighbors later swore they heard him scream. A scream that turned into a laugh, then into silence. When dawn came, the hut was empty. No feast, no wealth. Only the cane, lying in the center, its iron tip crimson. Obi was never seen again. Some said the cane walked him into the forest, where shadows feast on selfish souls. Others swore his father dragged him into the earth to join the dead. But from that day, the cane was placed before every new chief, and whenever it struck the ground, the people listened, for they knew the dead still judged the living. Even now, in Ebeli village, elders whisper, if you hear tapping when no one walks, share your food, for it may be Chief Stanley's cane searching for the selfish. Thank you for watching this story. Kindly share your thoughts about the story with me in the comment section. What lessons did you learn from the story? Don't enjoy the story alone. Kindly share the story with your loved ones. Give the story a big thumbs up and also subscribe to this channel if you have not done so by now. Until I bring another story your way, bye.